who became other than Muslim. They were not Muslims anymore, and they were not killed. There is a rapper in the UK like that, but they were not killed.
That's not the issue, though.
Can she talk?
Let me talk. You agree that it is justified that they were killed, yes or no? I do not want...
When?
Question is question. Did they specify?
That's why I said, is there a context to this thing?
Wait.
Is there a context to this thing? If you're talking about people that were killed during this our modern time, I disagree. But if you're talking about what happened in an old era, no, I'm sorry.
Justifiable is justifiable. Do you think it is justifiable? Yes or no? Shikana.
Because I was a Christian and now I'm Muslim. I had a valid reason for leaving Christianity. They would have valid reasons for leaving Islam, and it's peculiar and personal to them. So we can't decide what's right and what's wrong. At the end of the day, it's your relationship between you and God, whatever God you serve.
Let's understand that Sharia is not the law of any human. It's a divine law, right?
Meaning, law. Emphasis on divine law.
Emphasis on the divine law.
And we know what divine means.
It is God himself that prescribed it, this.
So there shouldn't be a debate as to whether it should be
justifiable
as a Muslim, right? One of the tenets of Islam, your shahada, is what makes you a Muslim, right? So you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna, I bear witness that Allah is the messenger and Prophet Muhammad. And now in the Quran, God is telling you that idkhulu fi silmi kafatan wa la tattabi'u khutuwati shaitan. He's telling you that if you want to enter Islam, there is no compulsion. In the Quran, God tells us that there is no compulsion in religion. If you want to practice Islam, practice. If you don't want to practice, don't practice. But if you want to practice, enter what? With your whole heart, submissively. For the confine of Islam, right, there are certain laws, meaning once you enter,
there's no bad laws.
So if we have a hypothetical scenario where let's say in the Middle East, and this is actually what happens, where a daughter leaves Islam, and because they've brought shame and reproach upon the family, they now have to do what you call a honor killing, where they kill, and it happens all the time, right? Now, I'm saying that if a person does that, by divine law, is he right to do so, or he's wrong to do so?
Now, let's go back to Sharia, right?
Yes
in
or
the Sharia.
no? Yes or no?
It's a fuller question.
Yes or no?
I want to answer. There's nothing called honor killing in Islam, in the Sharia.
I didn't even assert that there's honor killing in Sharia.
So it's a no.
But there are apostasy laws that demand the termination of life in Sharia, yes?
So what I'm saying now, going back to his points, right? So before you can even met out the Sharia law, right, there has to be, there are processes, right? You have to be tried by a Qadi. And even before a Qadi, before you can become a Qadi, there are different types, almost nothing less than 16 different kind of knowledges you need to have. They understand. So it's not just jungle justice where the father, or because he sees, oh, my daughter is doing something different from mine, and he goes to kill her. They understand. So it is not Islamic.
So you are saying that they are wrong?
Yes.
So you're saying they're wrong?
Of course.
Do you know that during the time of Prophet Muhammad SAW, someone said he's not a Muslim anymore and he wasn't killed?
What's the context?
Right? Are we going to use 1 to weigh 99?
But the hadiths have not been established then, right?
I would like to correct my brother because, of course, you know, just like Allah said in the Quran that we should always fazakir fa'inna zikra tanfa'ul mu'minin. This thing has to do with warfare in a way, because this person, I don't know, you can talk about, let's talk, if you go back to ancient laws, when people are called to be informants during wars, you know what that one person can actually wreak havoc on a whole army. And to actually protect thousands of lives, you have to take, it's like someone who is driving a train and someone is riding bicycle across. The person will not stop the train because of that one person. Everyone in the train is going to die. He doesn't have a choice. When people left the Muslims, some of them were not actually Muslim, they were pretending. So they left and went out, infiltrated the Muslim and came back. And the funny thing about Muslim society if you want to talk about the time of the Prophet ﷺ, for instance, is that in Medina, there were not just Muslims and Muslims alone. There were Muslims, there were Christians, there were Jews. And a constitution was even drafted then that the Muslims actually have to protect the Jews. The Jews were not as much as the Muslims. So if someone now went outside, became an informer, went to Mecca, told them that, look, so time, the light of the city is off, you can actually go and kill everybody at that time.
Something.
So now, wait, then on your point, you made a point that people are actually Muslims because of fear. I said in the modern time now, I don't think that law is being practiced, number one. Then number two, maybe you can enlighten me. I am yet to see any verse in the Quran that mentions that if somebody says he's not a Muslim, go and kill the person. On the issue of, what do you call it, honor killing or something, I don't know. I've never in my life heard of that thing before. And it is, I've never heard of it before. I'm being sincere, honestly.
That's fine, sincere. But you can try reading up on it.
So, like, honor killing, you don't do that. That's why I gave examples that there are even people who are Middle Eastern who became other than Muslim. They were not Muslims anymore, and they were not killed. There is a rapper in the UK like that, but they were not killed.
That's not the issue, though.
Can she talk?
Let me talk. You agree that it is justified that they were killed, yes or no? I do not want...
When?
Question is question. Did they specify?
That's why I said, is there a context to this thing?
Wait.
Is there a context to this thing? If you're talking about people that were killed during this our modern time, I disagree. But if you're talking about what happened in an old era, no, I'm sorry.
Justifiable is justifiable. Do you think it is justifiable? Yes or no? Shikana, we're not looking back then, we're not looking now. Is it justifiable? Yes or no? I know my stance, and my stance is a pure no. There's no maybe, there's no but, there's not me trying to find a loophole to make it make sense. So tell us, is it justifiable? Yes or no?
And I'll keep standing on my existing opinion that I will always avoid anachronism when it comes to things that has to do with an old era and the modern era. In the modern era, certain things are not applicable based on the world laws now. But if you're talking about then that something happened, then I maintain my stance.
I think your view is very problematic. And I don't think you can cite any Islamic scholar on jurisprudence to support that there's a distinction between when the law was applicable then in the medieval era or from the 7th century when Islam arose till this very moment. And secondly as well, you say that you cannot find a single verse in the Quran to support that statement, and I agree. Except that, of course, the Quran is not the only source of your deen.
Yes.
The Hadith is also a source of your deen.
Yes.
Do you know what just clicked in my head?
Law does not mean that divine law is not
the same way you're
commandment.
justifying the fact that it was justifiable back then is the same way certain people would perform this same act and claim it under the religion, and it would make perfect sense to them. Are you joking?
Go ahead and finish.
Are you going to tell me now that those people that justified this back then, if they were here today and they killed somebody in the name of protecting the religion as it is happening now, are you going to tell me that if I stand to them and tell them it's not justifiable, they would tell me I'm right? Are you going to tell the killers of Deborah that they were wrong for fighting for Islam?
No. I just said it now.
No. You're saying that back then and right now is different, but let me tell you what you think is different. It still happens, but it's not as documented as it was back then.
Exactly.
Go to the northern states, you cannot proudly say you're a Christian.
And I feel so bad for that because they don't even understand.
So how are you justifying the wrongs that people did back then that's putting fear in the hearts of Christians and other people?
Okay.
Let's understand that it's not only in Islam that killing is being meted out. Even in different cultures, we can cite different examples. When people do things like maybe stealing or any other thing, they behead them. So are we saying that is justifiable and that of Islam is not justifiable? Every law has its own jurisprudence and it has its own confines. We've established the fact that Nigeria, for our example, the example of here now. Can you let me speak, please? Even in the normal constitution, let's take Islam out of the fold here. If someone kills another person, what is the justifiable, what would you count as justice for that person that committed, for anyone that commits murder? Even the Bible says what? An eye for an eye, right? So what does an eye for an eye mean, right?